Okay, hold on. Let's get this good. Get this right. Ooh, okay. Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks once again for tuning in, hang out with your nerdy friend. It is Bree, aka Nerdy. I been doing storyboards. I've been working on actually two projects for storyboards: a animation movie and animation anime movie. It's one of those two, and a animated TV show. I have been really blessed with being like the storyboard artist, but also the kind of creative inspiration / director for them. So that's what I've been doing since my last video, and I have been busy with that. But those all kind of came to a close here in November, because here in November I am finally starting to draw this kids book that I've been wanting to draw. Now, I'm not sure if I ever mentioned it in previous videos, even when I was doing the vlog like 2 years ago. But 4 years ago, when I was in school doing my master's, which you saw, I know you've seen that video, my thesis was actually for a certain type of book. And I fortunately become blessed with the opportunity to be able to work on it finally here this November in 2020. So this is what I'm doing. I guess I can kind of tell you the base part of the story. Long story short, the title, or the working title, is called Little Man versus the Scrub, and it's pretty much just like an homage to when I was a kid, but also an homage to single moms and single parents. I think there's not like a lot of books that show that in a positive light and then reinforce the idea that the kid and the mom, or the kid and the parent, are the ecosystem that kind of, they work together and they take care of each other. So that's essentially what I'm going to draw. Right now I'm actually developing and designing the the look of the villain. I've been having like a trouble. I speak English. I'm also learning Deutsch right now, so my Deutsch is nicht good. That's where my Deutsch is right now. It's very garbage. But I'm developing the villain right now. I've been working on developing the hero or protagonist, which is Little Man. But it's funny because, like, you know, when a story is directly close to you, you kind of like want to imprint yourself onto it. And so that's the battle I've been gripping with myself, is like trying to get myself away from drawing me as that character, because even though this is loosely related to a story that happened with my past, I have to make sure that I pull it back just far enough so that I'm not, like, you know, doing that artist thing that we do, where we're thinking of a story, or we're thinking of a character, and we're like, oh, that doesn't look right, it doesn't look right. And the reason why we do it is because, you know, we are putting ourselves into the character. So that's my battle right now. I am posting this video because I want to try to do like kind of semi-status updates for this whole month with everybody, just to let you know, like, what is my thought process, how I'm developing this thing. I can't release all of it because there's some things that this book is going to do that are going to kind of change a lot of things, kind of be very destructive in that sense. But I do want to post, like, what was my thought process, what challenges I have, what's my overall thinking of developing the story, and if there are other stories, which there are. There are two other stories. One is actually given to me from a friend of my mom's who believed in my idea way 6-7 years ago. So I'm going to be developing her story. And then another story is one that me and my friends kind of came up with in college, or university, and we didn't really get to like fully flesh it out. But now that I have time, I want to fully flesh it out and get it out to the people. So right now, it's Little Man versus the Scrub. The second book, the one that was donated to me from my mom's friend, is called No Bath. And then the third one is called, well, working title is called The Little Boy in the Shadow, and or The Boy in the Shadow. And that one's just going to be a fun one. All three of them are very fun in how they are told and how they are designed. But I think each of them has a very cool, obviously, story and emphasis of what you're supposed to learn in the story. I actually came up with another one while I was actually in Deutsch class. like there's a beauty of, I guess, like an artist, especially back in high school. You know, when your teacher's talking, your brain starts working on an idea. That's kind of what happened in my language class. But it happened because of a situation that happened with my daughter, and that one's called "Lions Don't Cry." So I'm just working on developing all these stories. Things to know for right now, if you are watching this in the future, and hopefully this book does well, and you're trying to figure out how I started working with these things. I kind of came up with like a working theory of how I design things. Real quick, let me go get it. Yep. Okay. Yeah, we're back. All right. So this is it. I call my company XP Books. The XP Company is probably going to be the name of the full company. You're probably laughing about this in the future because you're like, if it's really big, you're gonna be like, I didn't even know the name fully, and it's what it is in the future, right? So the idea, I came up with how each one works, and long story short, the main things for the stories are when I'm developing my stories, I kind of wrote like 3 little markers, and I think this will help you in the future, which is essentially just like each book needs to connect to a childhood memory for someone, right? For me, it's myself, but also for people that were single parents or single children of single parents. Yeah, anyway, that's a connection, right? And I think stories that have connection have value, and they have a validity. So there's this. The next thing is, the only thing stopping you from living in the character's world is obviously reality and your imagination. For what I want to do with the books, you will know in the future, you won't know now, unfortunately. For what I want to do with the books, this is very important, right? So obviously, every time you read a book, you're using some semblance of your imagination to envision the world, coupled with pictures, coupled with what the verbiage is saying. And then we're just taking it to that next level with what I'm doing. So there that is. And the third and final one are essentially the moments that are in between the keyframes that the characters are having on the pictures that you see in the book. These are the moments that give you a look into the character's personality, and that's how I develop those secret sauce moments, you know. So I think those 3 things right there. If you, for some odd reason, if this company goes really big, or if you're wondering why it made it a certain type of way, and I'm really talking to the future right now, not to current people watching this. I know it sounds weird, but whatever. You're putting it out to the universe. The reason why I made it this way is because a lot of times when we see books, or when we read stories, or when we hear stories, there's always that hidden moment. And the best part about being a kid and about imagination is you're dreaming of yourself in that world, and what are you doing that the character is not doing, right? So, if we pretend to be Batman or Superman, we usually pretend about flying. We don't know where we're flying to, but we're flying. If we're Batman, you're fighting criminals. We don't know what they're fighting them for. We're just fighting the criminals, So I think those moments, that's the things that we have to capture in my books and my series of mine. I'm not going to elaborate on that anymore. But also in here, I kind of detail how I'm creating the stories. I know there's a way to create a story and create great story arcs. I'm just trying to redo it for myself. I'm actually going to use a little bit of the scientific method to develop the books. It's really not that far off from how you're ready to do a character story arc or a book arc, rise, rising, climax, fall, end. But it's just done in a way that's like the scientific method. You ask a question, what's the problem? Kind of like a business. And then how do you do some research, and then you test it, and then you put it out there. So, those are just a few staples of how I develop books right now, and then how I process that when I'm creating it in the method that I'm creating it. So there's all that there. With this said, things I would recommend for you in the future when you're watching this, and I think I'm probably just going to talk to the future. I think that's the best way, because I have so much faith in what it's going to become. It's not pertinent to talk about it now because it'll make sense when it's out there. But things and advice I would give to you as I am sitting in our 1-bedroom, 1 living room, and kitchen and bathroom apartment, and not this person that's super or amazingly successful and rich and all that other crap. The things I would tell you are all those things that you love to do as a kid. Try to develop a story that is relatable in those moments. And those moments and those stories will always resonate 100 times more than some generic nonsense story. A prime example of that would be the story that I mentioned previously, which was The Boy in the Shadow. It didn't personally happen to me, but it happens to some people, and also people can relate to that, which is essentially there's a boy who's left at the orphanage, and he gains a friend that is a shadow. And everyone's like, oh, it's like Peter Pan. It's not like Peter Pan. But he gains the shadow, and the shadow helps him through this world that he's trying to get through, trying to get a family, but also trying not to be alone. And his shadow, as you know, we all have shadows. Obviously, the wall here, we all have shadows. They're always with us. So I was like, why don't we play with that idea and then make the shadow playful? And what happens when one person wants one thing and the shadow wants another? So those are questions we ask ourselves. So with all that, I am kind of rambling on, so I'm just going to go ahead and wrap it up because I don't really want to edit these. I want them to be very, very raw and straight to the point, just so you know, and just so you can know and understand like the very genuine part of what I'm saying and how I'm developing things. So that's my update. I only have 2 days a week where I can fully work on my book, which are essentially Tuesdays and Fridays. The rest of the days, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, I am inside language school, Deutsch school. And then obviously I don't get to work on any of my stuff until my daughter goes to bed at 7. So most days, like 16 hours a day, it's kind of already booked out. 12 hours a day is already booked out because, you know, also being a parent is important. I'm sorry. You know, it's important to me. So going to school, learning language, because I live here in Germany now as an American, that's important. When my daughter's here and my girlfriend's here hanging out with us as doing the family thing, that's important because that builds my daughter up. And then also those moments help me reinforce the reason why I stay up till 12 o'clock at night. Before it used to be 2 o'clock in the morning, but now I gotta wake up in the morning to take my daughter to school, 4 o'clock in the morning sometimes. And now on these days when I'm here on a Friday, when she's at school or she's at daycare and I have the day to myself, it reinforces those moments when I'm sitting here developing this. And I think this is important for you as well, because you have to find something that gives you reason to develop and to create. And when it comes to developing kid stories, I think when you don't have to have a kid, I'm not going to tell you that, but I think when you have something worth creating for, to support, or that you love, for me, it's my family. It just gives you a greater sense of passion, and it gives you this, I gotta get this done, I gotta make this good. But with that, I would also say, don't over stress it. Don't put too much stress on yourself, because when you do, you compress your vision. You compress that little light, that little thing that the universe or God or whoever you want to say gave you, that made you be able to just pull ideas from whatever energy is out there and develop it into what you're developing. So don't be afraid of that. Don't get so stressed down that this thing has to be perfect that it becomes imperfect because you made it imperfect. It's perfect the way it was in your head. You just have to take however much time it is needed to develop it. Don't rush it. Don't overthink it. Just have fun with it, and trust me, it'll flow. So with that said, we're at the 15-minute mark. I'm gonna cut this thing off. I love you guys. As always, stay true to yourself, love what you do, and above all, stay nerdy. You can follow me on Instagram, on Twitter, Facebook. I don't really care about it anymore, but yeah, I love you guys. I'm gonna get back to creating. I'll probably start trying to post some things on stories on Instagram, which is at Nerdy's Art Lab, and Twitter, same thing, Nerdy's Art Lab. So you can find it there. If you have any questions, just reach in the comments, email me. I don't mind if I got time. Yeah, that's it. Draw more, create more. You got greatness in you. You are the best person that you know in your world. There are other great people here, but you can do it too. So, alright people, I'll see you next time.
Now I came to rock, I came to move the crowd, I came to